Well, welcome everyone. My name is Doug Kreitzberg. I'm CEO of SeedPod Cyber, and here with Dennis Krohn as well, co-founder and president of SD Reliance Management. How you doing, Dennis?
Doing great.
Great, great. This is just go back to the title. The title is this webinar is Risk, Revenue, and Resilience, Cyber Insurance Playbook, and the purpose is to help you as a business really understand cyber risk, how it can impact the revenues, how it can impact your ability to maintain your operations, maintain your reputation here, and the role that cyber insurance can play in helping you be cyber resilient. And also because of what cyber insurance, what is looking at, what you should have within your own security environment to make sure that you can be insured, that if an incident occurs, you'll be covered, and that you can afford the cyber insurance when you need to go shopping for it here. I'm SeedPod. I'll just talk a little bit about SeedPod Cyber. We are a cyber insurance underwriter that works with MSPs like Dennis in providing insurance to their customers. Dennis, would you like to say a little bit about yourself and SD Reliance Management?
Yeah, my name's Dennis again. I'm the co-founder and president of SD Reliance Management, or SDIT Support. I've got 30 years in the IT space experience. I just wanted to have this webinar to bring some awareness to my current clients and my prospects that I speak to on how important it is. I think that they should have cyber insurance and what is necessarily needed, because not every prospect that wants cyber is able to get it. So yeah, 30 years experience, and I've owned this specific company for about 12 years, and really excited about what we have to talk about today.
Great, great. Yeah, I'm excited as well, Dennis, here. So I'm going to first talk about just what cyber insurance is. I'm going to talk a little bit about what kind of a history, claim scenarios, et cetera, that have occurred, and then also talk about how the marketplace is evaluating, underwriting risks, selecting risks, and what you really should be thinking about from a technical standpoint. And Dennis will dive in on that here. But to begin, cyber insurance basically is insurance that covers you in the event of a malicious or unintentional act that impacts the confidentiality, integrity, or accessibility of your system. That's the kind of the standard definition. Really, it covers you when bad things happen to your system or your data that harms others or harms yourself. Okay, those bad things can happen by bad actors. The stereotypical person in a hoodie and shaded face that's flailing away at the keyboard, getting into your system. It could be, the state actors out there that are trying to impact critical infrastructure, if you're in that business there. But it also can, bad things can happen unintentionally. You configure something or you click on a link, that just opens the door to your system being exposed here. That's where the insurance comes in. It covers you and it covers others who rely on you in order to deliver services. So usually your customers, in some cases your vendors as well here. What types of cyber insurance or cyber incidents are there? Well, certainly, I'm sure we're all have received those letters from some, our banks or anyone that we do business with that says there may have been an incident, and if you want credit monitoring, change your passwords, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of been here for quite a bit here. But that's a type of incident, the data breach. What you may have also heard of, which was really exploded during COVID, when everyone started working from home, and which created less secure environments that gave the bad guys better entry, is ransomware. And that's when someone gets into your system and they encrypt it, so they lock it, prevent you from accessing it, and then they send a little note to you saying, "Hey, reach me via this channel." You go to the dark web somewhere and you enter into a conversation where they say, "Hey, if you want to get your data back, pay this much in Bitcoin, and we'll give you the encryption keys," as they call it here. So that's been fairly prevalent. And if it hasn't happened to you, I bet you know someone that it has happened to. Um, and then you get the sandwich, incident sandwich, the ransomware plus the data breach, and this is actually more prevalent now, where the bad guys aren't necessarily trying to encrypt your system. What they want to do is they want to get in there, take your data, and say, "Hey, if you don't pay us, we're going to release this data out, and it's not going to be a good day for you and your clients, and you're going to look real bad." And so, there's been some notable incidents. A couple law firms, as an example, have been hit, and law firms, if anything, want to protect their client information, and to get it exposed in this way would be extremely problematic to them here. So you're seeing a lot more of this type of activity occurring here. And then there's what's called e-fraud, and e-fraud is really kind of the social engineering, as it's called, invoice manipulation, these type of frauds where someone pretends to be you, and then they induce someone else to give them money. So one example is, the CEO sends an email to the CFO saying, "Hey, I'm in a meeting right now, can't talk to you, but I need 25,000 wired right away to close this deal. Here's the account, wire it, get it done." And they probably put a little sense of urgency there. The frantic CFO does it, but it wasn't the CEO, and then the CFO becomes an ex-CFO. And so that occurs. Invoice manipulation. Bad guys get into the email system. They look around, they find out who your clients are. Then they send a note out from pretending to be you to those clients, say, "Hey, we've just changed our bank. Here's our new wire instructions. In the future, please wire all money to this account." So your clients do that, and all of a sudden you're not getting paid, from your clients, and you're wondering why there. So that's an example of that. This is actually this category of incidents is probably, from a dollar standpoint, the largest of outlays or types of crimes that are created here. What does the insurance cover? It covers lawsuits. So you have a data breach, and your clients sue you, or your class action suit is created and they sue you. So it covers you in the event that you're sued, both the defense costs as well as any judgments that come through. The costs incurred, a lot of a claim dollars go towards getting you back up and running, getting your systems in place, recreating the data there. And so this is an important part of the coverage. And then also another important part of the coverage are the lost profits. So when you have a ransomware attack and you're down for 26 days, as an example, it may be tough for you to make money like you used to. I remember working with a healthcare firm. They were their systems were locked down for about a month. They had no way to find out who their patients were, when the appointments were, what medications they were on. It was a mess, and it cost them both revenue, and it also increased their costs because they had to get temporary staff on board to do it. So, and the insurance will cover you for the lost profits as well, with regards to it. And speaking of costs, what are the average cost for a small business um, small, medium-sized business. You always hear the tales of Target or Home Depot, but the regular company, what are they going to spend? And this is what you can look at, and this is for small and medium-sized businesses. The average cost of a ransomware attack is $865,000. That funds transfer fraud is about $200,000. Third party, and we wanted to emphasize this, talk about this in a moment. But an accident, an incident that involves someone that you rely on, uh, can cost you $661,000. And what businesses really have the ability to sit down and write a check or withstand a hit if they have these costs coming through. Not many here, and not many would want to, even if they could. And that's really where the insurance comes into place here. Just a couple from claim scenario standpoint, here, I mentioned the healthcare company that couldn't access the patient records for a period of time. There's a lot of examples of that. We had we not only to the company, but as I mentioned, the third parties. We were working with a wholesaler, and the wholesaler relied on a CRM system that they were using for their sales and business development, and that was down for about 60 days. And it wasn't their system. It was something that they were, it was a cloud-based system that there, but they couldn't access it. So they couldn't do the sales processes. They didn't have easy ways to identify their clients. And certainly from a prospecting standpoint, it impaired their ability to effectively prospect. So that's one example. It wasn't your system, but it was a system that you relied on. And that's important. It's also important to think about when you're looking at cyber insurance coverage to make sure you're covered in those situations. Here, the I talked about how email compromise is the largest in terms of actual dollars. It's literally a multi-billion-dollar business every year. And the reason is because people, they click on those links, and the money, once they gain access, it's an easy way to make money. A lot of it originally was more of the social engineering. We had there was a film company, a European film company, that the division CFO got an email from the CEO of the home office saying, we're going to do a deal in your territory. We need to keep it hush hush. So we don't want to publicize it, but we need to get the transaction, to get this process started. We'll need $5 million. We need you to wire it to the company here. And they went ahead and did it. But it wasn't the CEO who said it. And that division just ended up costing the overall company a lot of money as part of it here. And when you look at the types of loss overall, this is from a study from last year from an insurance carrier. Funds transfer loss, business email compromise, which are all those kind of e-fraud that I talked about. That's the bulk of the types of loss that companies see. And ransomware is third in terms of the types of losses here. And we'll talk in a moment about, how can you defend yourself against that? What are the things that you need to look at? And when you look at and some of this is the key loss factors, certainly phishing, which is involved in 76 of the reported claims. So we'll talk with Dennis about, how you may not be able to stop the bad guys phishing you, but how can you stop, from what are ways in which we can stop making it so easy for them to gain access to us? Unresolved vulnerabilities. So, many of you, I'm sure, get periodically on your phone. You get a little note saying, "Hey, we've downloaded an operating system. Please update it." Some of you do it right away. Some of you do it after a while. Some of you probably still have a red button from a long or red dot on a little gear from a long time ago. That means if it's there, it means that you don't have up to date operating system. And what that means is, part of those updates are to make your life better. Part of them are to make your life more secure, make that phone or laptop or your operating system more secure. And that's a big source of opportunities for the bad guys. Because every day that you don't patch, as they say, you update your system, is a day that the bad guys have access or to a potential vulnerability. And those that don't patch, that have vulnerabilities, are 2 times more likely to have a claim than those that patch it on a regular basis there. And the and if you have one area of vulnerability that many customers still have today is not going to the cloud with your email. So they have what's called Microsoft Exchange, which is on-prem. It's on your premise. In the old days, that's all that you could have, right? Everything was on-prem. Now, most are moving to the cloud. Those that are on-prem, have 1 in 3 of them will be hit with an incident. It's just that Microsoft Exchange is used by a lot of people as some vulnerabilities and makes it easy for the bad guys to get in. And then end of life software. So we're coming up, I think in the fall, right, Dennis? You need to go to Windows 11. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I'll talk about that a little bit
Yeah.
once I get. Yep, of course.
Yes. So you've got the end of life software. That's after a while, the vendors stop updating their software. They go to the new thing. And so there's no more changes to it. That just increases the likelihood that there will be vulnerabilities in that software. Those that are running end of life software are 3 times more likely to have suffer an incident there. So, what are carriers looking for when if you're looking for cyber insurance and you obviously want to get the best rate, you want to get the best terms here. What are the carriers looking for as they evaluate you as a company from a risk standpoint? Um, a lot of it is not related to the technology. A lot of it is related to what's the type of business, what industry are you in, how many years have you been in business, how much data and what's the type of data that you have. Obviously, a healthcare company is going to have more richer data that bad guys like than a manufacturer. So that kind of impacts it. We'll also look at what's the governance, what's your approach to risk overall here, and then certainly how large are you? Because revenue is the first determinant in setting the pricing, and there's also a high correlation between revenue and the incidents here. And then certainly the technical controls. And uh, you know, like from the technical standpoint, what are the security that you should have in place, and what are the security that the carriers are looking for? And here's the basic insurability kit that the carriers are looking for. And Dennis, I was wondering if you could help the audience really kind of understand what we're looking at here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Doug, for all that information and for introducing SeedPod and the importance of cyber insurance as a whole. But I won't go into all of these, but some basic ones that you as a customer should have on your technology is EDR, which is this one down on the bottom left, endpoint detection and response. it's kind of like a more glorified antivirus nowadays. So it's detecting something and then responding to it based on how the managed service provider, the MSP, has that configured. So that's really important to have. And then what ties along with that is something like a next gen AV, next gen antivirus. That's definitely really important in your day to day, because the old days of putting your patches out and having your antivirus update every day, the hackers got beyond that, and so they're looking for heuristics instead of actually, a problem with the actual software itself. There's vulnerabilities that come out constantly, and what the next gen AV and those type of things are doing is looking for the types of things that are happening, not the actual file that it's looking for. And just like you mentioned, like I was going to say before, is the patching and asset inventory. Like Doug, like you mentioned earlier, Windows 10 is going to be end of life on October 14th this year. Some people don't know that. And what that means is if you have a Windows 10 computer, that means that you have to update all of your Windows 10 computers to Windows 11 by October 14th, because after October 14th, there will be no longer any patching, any security updates, anything to patch those so-called holes that people find access through. So I highly suggest connecting with your MSP, your managed service provider, and finding out what their plan is to update those machines by that time. And usually, something like that, you don't want to wait till the last minute. We have about 6 months to plan that. So, work with your current provider, and, that's the best thing to do for that. The last thing I mean, there's all of these are really, really, really important. But like your incident response plan. So if, how Doug, like you were mentioning, if there is an event, who's in charge of what? Like who's in charge of accessing your vendors or telling your vendors? Or if you're in the healthcare industry, who's going to be in charge of contacting your patient base? There's a lot of things that, people don't really think about ahead of time, but having that incident response plan in place really helps with going through an incident like that. The last thing I said, the last thing before, but security awareness training is really, really important, because phishing and what we do with our clients is we do simulations. So we'll send out like fake emails and say, hey, this is blah 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 Microsoft, and it looks all legit. And if they click on it, then something comes up to educate them to help them in the future. Because what that helps with is, number one, you have to have all these items on this list to get cyber insurance. But two, it helps your employees and your company's awareness on going through something like that and preventing something like that. It's so simple nowadays to be phished and click on something and then put your credentials in. And then next thing you know, they're in your system, they're in your Microsoft 365, they're in your Google, and then they're sending that email, like you said earlier, where we're asking for money, we're asking for this, we're asking for that. They think it's that person. And then it's just a big chain reaction after that.
Right, right. Those are great comments, Dennis. And I would, just just to emphasize, making sure that your employees understand the risks. They don't need to be IT experts, right?
Yep.
But they, hopefully through the training, that they can understand what they should be, you know, looking for, and making sure that they don't, unnecessarily click on something. And then if they do, make sure they communicate that, right?
Exactly.
There. Uh, and we talked about this a little bit earlier before the show, but Dennis, what are the items that you typically find missing when you are talking to someone who's considering engaging you for your services?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if they're working with an MSP already, then they have a lot of these check boxes checked. But if they're working trying to do this on their own, I mean, you name it, they're probably having a tougher time being proactive about it. Security awareness training is pretty high on that list. They're not trying to re-educate themselves on the fly or proactively. It's more reacting to a problem and trying to educate themselves, and that's why they're talking to an MSP like us afterwards. Definitely, incident response plan is low on that list. If you have a current MSP, make sure that you have an incident response plan for your clients in place. So if something does happen, then you know who's doing what and when they're doing it. Um, and again, the last kind of, most important, I mean, they're all really important, but the ones that we're not seeing a lot of are, the next gen AV isn't super common if you're working with an MSP, if you're not working with an MSP. Um, that's why we highly recommend working with a managed service provider when you're trying to get these, because trying to go get cyber insurance and filling out this application that you're having to fill out, like if you go to the next slide, there's a handful of things that are on there. I thought there was another slide, never mind. There was a handful of things on there that was, like password rotation, stuff like that. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that the companies don't really think about. But all I can say is the most important thing is to partner with an MSP that is thinking for you when it comes to cyber insurance, and because they're already doing all these things, so they should be able to bring you through that journey.
Right, right. And if a client, if a business is looking, wants to explore, understand the managed service provider, what to look for, what are the types of questions they should be asking to make sure they're picking the right one?
Yeah, I mean, how often are they doing, a question? There's a ton of questions, right? But one question
Sure.
could be is, how often are you backing up your client's data? Where is your client's data going? How often are you doing, patching? Um, do you currently have an incident response plan in place, or do you work with your current clients, and what's their response on that? Are you more of a proactive versus a reactive kind of MSP? Because with us, we're not just proactive on the support side, we're proactive on the planning side, planning their technology and having those regular meetings with them and going over what we think that their spend should be, or what their technology should be updated, etc. um, Questions like that, when you're talking to your current provider, I think that would be good to start.
Right, right. No, I think that's important. And you bundle your security services into the solutions you're offering. Is that right, Dennis?
Yes, sir. So, we have kind of a one set offering. So we don't offer what's called break fix services to our clients. Break fix is when somebody calls that it's broken and then you fix it. I think there's two reasons why we don't do that. One, for the client, we can't be proactive with them. We're reacting to a problem. And then two, providing the staff ahead of time to be able to have those response times and to be able to be proactive with our clients. So that's the main points for that.
Yeah. No, I think it's really important. And I'm starting to use this analogy, when you go buy a car, you may look at the color, you want 7 seat, 5 seat, whatever. Uh, but the dealer isn't asking you, do you want airbags or not? Do you want
Yeah.
seatbelt or not? Do you want the bumpers? All that is included. It's bundled in, and so to expect that anyone who's not technically versed to be able to understand, the MFA, next gen AV. I think the MSPs who don't, just incorporate it like you do, are doing a disservice to their clients because just put it in. What the clients wants is they want their system to run, and you need to have security if you want to have confidence that it will be up and running for you there too. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
Yep, yep. Here. Well, great, great. Well, I think that's great advice here, Dennis. From the standpoint of the cyber insurance, I would if you are looking to get cyber insurance, the one I guess word of advice that I would give is work with someone who really understands cyber insurance. And that may not be the broker that you work with your other lines of coverage. Not to say that they're not good and smart and intelligent in those areas. Cyber is becoming more and more specialized, and it's tough to keep stay up to speed. And so work with a specialist to the extent that you can there, or work with your broker who has access to a specialist. Then that will really go a long way with you as well. Um, just going to talk a little bit about the insurance offerings. Working with a firm like Dennis, as I mentioned, we partner with MSPs, but you have access to getting $1 million of coverage for as little as around $2,000 in annual premium. And certainly, if you're under $50 million in revenue, here we actually have standard pricing for that, and that can save you a lot in terms of premium dollars, and it also can increase the confidence that because you're working with a partner and because of how we work with partners, that the coverage will be there when you need it, which is very important there. So, really want to thank you, Dennis, for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for your insights as well. And thank you, more importantly, to the audience, either live with us or who will be joining us as we release the recording out into the digital universe there. So, anything in closing remarks, Dennis?
Yeah, just real quick, like the reason why we partnered with SeedPod is because they were forward thinking and they were helping MSPs like us find out what tools that we needed to even get cyber insurance for us and our clients. And partnering with someone like SeedPod, you guys get a discount if you go through SeedPod themselves. As that's what that discount is if you go get insurance quotes. I've gotten all kinds of different ones ranging in different prices, and they make it real simple to partner with them because us as the MSP, they know that we already have our stack in place, our stack of software that we're using. So they're able to really, trust working with us, and it makes it that onboarding process much easier with going with a cyber insurance company.
I appreciate the confidence and certainly value our relationship with you, Dennis. Look forward to working with you and working with your clients and hopefully if you have if any of you want to reach out to Dennis, you see his email info at sditsupport.com. And you can reach out to me and our team at info@seedpodcyber.com. So that's it. And thanks again, Dennis, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.